Yes, ma'am.
All righty. You good to go over there? Fantastic. Hello, students. This is Louis Gibb again. This is my 4th week now teaching with you guys, and it's been a great pleasure. Today, we actually are going to be covering something really unique. We have a different formula altogether. We're going to be covering government and politics. What I'll do is I'll let Sharnae introduce herself, give us a little background, and Sean as well. Mr. Scott over here, give us a little bit of a background so that way we can give an idea of who you're talking to, and then we're going to jump directly into the actual. Ms. Sharnae, if you want to go first.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. I'm glad to be here with you guys today. Unfortunately, you're not here with us, so this is a different process for me as well.
Yeah.
But my name is Sharnae Hearn. I am a Community Affairs Liaison with the Office of Community Affairs of the City of Pittsburgh. So my job is to attend community meetings on a nightly basis on the behalf of the Mayor's Office of the City of Pittsburgh. So in the job duties of my description, it basically helps what we call constituents, which are community residents who lives in all over the 99 neighborhoods within the city limits, to help them on businesses, concerns with their potholes. One of the city Pittsburgh's regulations is the favor of their bike lanes. So basically, we help any constituent on anything that they need, and to make sure that I'm the voice of the community as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Mr. Scott, introduce yourself to the students, please.
Okay, great. Well, good afternoon, students. My name is Ryan Scott. I am the Associate Director for a program called Investing Now, which is with the University of Pittsburgh and the Swanson School of Engineering. We are a program that represents underrepresented students that from all over southwestern Pennsylvania that come together to participate in STEM-related activities. We have hands-on science activities, bioengineering, so on and so forth. So we give students the opportunity to come in and learn STEM careers, and we prepare them for college.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. So today what we're going to do is we're going to cover things a little bit differently. Before it was very much, these are the things you need to learn because it was a very specific class assignment. Today, it's going to be more conversational. We want to make sure that everyone can sit down and understand how you go about your daily life, what activities you actually do, and also for yourself, how, from an education perspective, how you can help students bridge the gap between going to school, learning the things that they need to learn, not from, tactical type stuff, but, going into more of how do you help these students become entrepreneurs or into the business market. So that's kind of what I'd like to focus on today. So when you were talking about, going to potholes and stuff like that, that's something that I know for me is definitely a great concern as I travel through the Pittsburgh area.
So it's one of my personal concerns as well. Yes.
Yeah. So when you're working with people, are you also fielding communications from people who want to start a business, or people that are in the business space, or complaints about companies, anything along those lines? What exactly do you get from the business world?
Okay, so with my office, the Office of Community Affairs, we do not necessarily handle the business world concerns of the constituent, like I said before. So our office basically is truly, when I say a liaison, is the connector to those persons who do help them in government too. So my job is basically to put a face to government.
Gotcha.
So when someone is calling government to say, okay, I need someone to help me with a business plan, it's my job to then find resources within the community to say this organization or this person can help you with those measures.
That's when you call up Mr. Scott over here, like, help.
Yeah.
So about if you were to say that there was a process that they go through, what's the process of getting help? For, let's say, starting a business plan. How does that usually work? What are they going to experience when they're trying to get this kind of help as you liaison between the community and the different structures within the government?
In regards to a business plan, I haven't had that much experience. I've been with the city about 7 months now. So I haven't had that much experience in regards to small business. But we do host small business fairs within the city. So that's the opportunity for people to come into the city to learn all about the resources.
And how frequently do you do that?
On an average, I know the city in itself had done in two different seasons.
Yeah.
So they're trying to do them seasonal.
Okay, so you do at least 4 times a year approximately.
Approximately.
And then do you host only in the city, or is it also like the suburbs and the surrounding areas to kind of you hinted at the fact that it's underserved kids that need the help also.
Sure.
So from that perspective, are we hitting the suburbs also, or?
When the city hosts an event, anyone can come from no matter where they live, but we definitely like to focus on the city.
Yeah.
But a lot of the things too is when you learn in government that everything is connected.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of partnerships between the county and Department of Human Services,
Sure.
and you'll see that they're working on different projects together. So
Gotcha.
it may not just be a city entity, but more so a collaboration.
That's awesome. Well, that's really good. That's really good. Now, when it comes to, let's say, someone who is interested in starting a business and they want to do that business plan, and then we're coming over to you, Mr. Scott, and saying, okay, how, let's say that these students have an amazing idea.
Sure.
And these are extremely intelligent kids with a lot of initiative. So, I mean, as you can see, they're at home, a lot of them, which is difficult. I know I would not have been able to do that myself. I needed structure, I needed structure.
Awesome.
So from that perspective, what kind of support can you, give us a little bit of an explanation as far as how you go about your daily activities, or even, your action plans with helping these students?
Okay, well, the first thing I think students is you need to have a vision plan. You need to determine what it is that you want to do, and then create a concrete plan that will allow you to start in those steps. So, contacting community organizations that may be in your area. There are several, I know, in the Pittsburgh area that will help small business and at least help entrepreneurs just develop their craft. Through the University of Pittsburgh and through the Investing Now program, we try to help find, so we have advising sessions throughout where we start talking that process through. So if there's someone who wants to go and start a business, we're able to kind of help foster that and develop that.
And can you explain the Inventing Now program to the students so they can get an idea of
Sure.
Sure.
Well, at the Investing Now program, we work with high school students. So we actually are recruiting now for students who are rising 9th graders and rising 10th graders. And we follow you through high school, and we give you the opportunity to participate in advising sessions. We also offer tutoring, and we require tutoring if you have a C or below in your math or science courses.
Yeah.
We also, like I said, mentioned the hands-on science activities where we provide students the opportunity to kind of get in the lab, think about cadavers and things like that.
Yeah.
But beyond STEM careers, we also opened it up now where we've looked at things such as social justice and the arts and things like entrepreneurship. So we give students the opportunity to kind of invest now in themselves,
exactly.
so that they can excel later.
Exactly. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
So I just wanted to say something that I'm just sitting here and listening to Mr. Scott talk as well. In regards to small businesses, a lot of the things that I know personally is about the importance of having a mentor.
Yes.
So yes, we talk about government, but also if you want to invest in yourself, you need to look up to somebody who's actually went down that path that you went, to make sure that you have a mentor or someone that you can look up to, whether there's a teacher. I've never experienced taking classes online, so that's not a regular environment, but just make sure that you have a person in your corner who's going to support you throughout that whole process.
Right. And I was just saying, and to add on that, in addition to, I would also get to know some of your politicians in the area that support small business and support startup companies and things like that, and write, to know who they are and pick their brain. So I think, a lot of students don't understand the power that they have and some of the things that they can be doing right at home.
That's fantastic. So now from that side of things, what you can be doing at home, is there any programs that keep the students' businesses here in Pennsylvania or even southwestern Pennsylvania? Are there any kind of initiatives through the education process and through the business development process that, if you do, let's say, they're a high school student that goes through the program like Inventing Now, and they go through and go to school here in a Pittsburgh area school. Is there any kind of benefit to keeping the business here in Pittsburgh or even and are there any initiatives that are coming up? And I go, this is a question I just thought of as we're talking. You know, to help keep the businesses here. I know a lot of the past has been about, you know, well, there used to be a steel town, you know, and now it's a technology hub, right?
Right.
So there's definitely a big switch from all that. So, and I know one of the initiatives that the city wants is to keep the talent and the people here. So is there anything along those lines for that?
I believe there's a lot of initiatives that are actually in the works.
Okay.
But to my knowledge, there aren't anything set in stone. But we do have organizations like Vibrant Pittsburgh and the Mayor's Initiative with Welcoming Pittsburgh. So we are trying to attain new residents to the city and trying to make sure that we are aware of the city's talents and what different people can offer in regards to diversity and inclusion. And how do we make sure that Pittsburgh is not only welcoming for new immigrants and new people to come to the city, but also for those who are already in the city as well.
That's fantastic.
And I was going to say, actually, from the education standpoint, to keep students in Pennsylvania, City of Pittsburgh residents are actually offered the opportunity and afforded the opportunity to participate in what's called the Pittsburgh Promise, which gives $40,000 scholarships to students that are residents of the City of Pittsburgh to go to any school in the state of Pennsylvania. So it offers that opportunity, you know, based on your grade point average and also your school attendance.
So you hear that, students? You guys need money to go to school. This is the man to talk to.
Well, not directly, but I can certainly get you in the right direction as it relates to scholarships and things like that, and navigating through the financial aid process.
Fantastic. And now, at your office, how many people do you have working with you to help these students? It's not just yourself? I assume, no, it's impossible to help them all that way. So what's that look like? You know, for these students, like how many people do they have to help support them through this process?
Oh man, there's a myriad of people that are, you know, in your corner. But in our specific department, we have a staff of 8 that work collectively to participate in the advising and hosting workshops for both students and parents, pre-college and college students that we bring together, that, you know, we afford the opportunity. So we do a lot of that transition and that kind of pipeline kind of experience, because we see the importance of helping students who have maybe you know, faced challenges throughout their daily lives and kind of, you know, holding their hand through, and not holding their hand in the sense that we're babying them, but just letting them know they have some.
Exactly. Okay. Now, as far as you know, he has a staff of people that he's dealing with and helping to help him through the process. Do you have a support structure as well? I know it's probably not just you know, maybe not direct staff, but definitely people that you have you know, in your back pocket you can reach out to and say, okay, this is the type of person that will help me with this. Like, for example, Mr. Scott, for education. Do you know, what does your structure look like from a support perspective?
From a support perspective, I believe I am the support. So when you work for the institutions and the systems, and some things are so much larger scale, there is built-in support system, and my job is to be the support to everybody else. So I have a unique position. So it's usually my upper management is coming to our office to say, how can we support them in their efforts? Because they know we are the ones that are attending the community, they know the community meetings, and we have that unique knowledge to say we have capabilities to remember people and that relationship with people. And you never know how far a relationship with a person, and just by saying hi can lead you. So a lot of people come to us for that support.
And that's fantastic. And actually piggybacks from a lot of the conversations we've had over the last couple of weeks. You know, it's about taking the chance to say hi. It's about introducing yourself and networking. So just real quick, is there any way you can just give the website for the Investing Now site so that these kids can take a look at it while they're talking? Just again, because as these questions come through, you know, we're going to be answering them and kind of guiding them through the process. You know, let them actually also guide our conversation as well. Some of them.
All right, great. And it's kind of funny, so don't laugh at me, students, because it's really cool. Because I'm actually new to the Investing Now program. However, if you go to Google and you type in University of Pittsburgh Investing Now, it'll take you right to our website. You'll see some of the current things we're doing. I'm not on the website yet, but I will be by the end of the week.
If not, we'll send some people over.
We'll send some people over. For sure.
I'll go over there and help them.
Yeah.
I was just saying the power of talking about networking as well. So if you want to talk about, I'm sorry, see, this is what I'm saying. I'm a community resource.
Yeah.
Talking about your prior position as well, and
Okay.
that's an opportunity I believe that the network could tap into.
Sure. So I've been working with students for several years, from the ages of 4 to 18. So I've had the span to work with students, both with government funding agencies as well as from foundation money.
Okay. All right.
So the last organization that I worked for was one that we worked with 80 high school boys, and we gave them the opportunity to have a pre-college experience. But not only that, focus on leadership development.
Yeah.
Through that, there was a vast network that was built, and I was able to secure my current position through a lot of the relationships that I made in the prior one. So we did a lot of leadership development and visioning and ethical decision making, and preparing our students for the future.
That's exactly right. Now, this leads actually really well into Garrett's question, which is how does a person get involved in politics and still make a good living? There's
Can
always.
we ask Garrett what does a good living? What's the definition of a good living?
Be able to pay your bills and drive a car, I guess, is the definition.
Yeah, Garrett passed the question along to me. I think his point was a lot of people that get involved in politics have already, went through school, chosen a career, been part of the workforce.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between somebody that enters politics because of the public service and someone who might consider themselves a career politician.
Right. So to Garrett's point, Garrett, I'm answering your question, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how I got to my position. This position was definitely not on my radar. But I'm thankful for the opportunity that I had to serve the city that I lived in, I was born and raised with, and I am growing more and more to actually love on a daily basis because of the work that we do to help so many different people on so many different scales.
Fantastic.
So I just knew I was going to be a teacher, Garrett. I went to the University of Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania.
That's my wife went.
And I was awesome. I was studying elementary and special education. And I started doing my student teaching opportunity. And as soon as they told me I needed to take a practice, I said, I'm not taking no tests. I don't like taking tests. I know knowledge. I'm good with people. I'm good with students. So I changed my major to social work. In the realm of social work, I graduated with my degree in social work. And I said, okay, social work is good. I get the help, love doing what I'm doing, but it's not paying me.
Yeah.
So, but I always still have that joy and that passion for working with people. So some things that you have to do a balance.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that some things are, when you begin to do things, you say, as a person of faith and a person who believes in religion, and said some things I started feeling like that was my calling and that was my purpose to say, this is what I'm good at.
Mm-hmm.
So I began to start volunteering in the community. While I was volunteering in the community, I decided to go back to school for my master's degree in community leadership. There was a particular class that I took that was talking about how to be political savvy.
There you go.
And while I was working for the county as a caseworker for what's called Children, Youth, and Families, where I basically went into the homes to help people in the different crisis situations. And in that instant, I said, everything is connected. And just when seeing just how to be political savvy in everything you do. So I decided to help on the campaign, just as my help on the campaign, which later led me to my position that I am in.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's a really good answer. So it doesn't give you the idea of what a good living is, but that's okay. What it does is show that there's a progression. And
Right.
and some of the things that we've talked about over the last several weeks is, finding something that you're passionate about.
Right.
Following through, creating a plan, not just a plan that's going to be something that generates money. I mean, sure,
Right.
it's great that it generates money. Everyone wants money, right? But also something that they can do every day and be proud of.
Sure.
That's really key to building a successful business. For myself, I know when I started my business, it was definitely something that I was not ever thinking that I would ever do. But in the end, I'm passionate about helping companies.
Sure,
I'm passionate about making sure that these people are served. And I've seen through my general everyday, talking to these different business owners, how so many people are out there taking advantage of these companies. So from my, that's what I do. I reach out, I help these people. I don't do any advertising. It's all word of mouth. People say, hey, if you need a website, you need this, you need that, talk to Lewis, he'll set everything up for you. And they're like, wow, I can't believe you did this in this short amount of time, and it only cost me that. And I was like, wow, and they're blown away because people sit there and try to, make it something else, make it last for months upon months upon months. So that's fantastic. So, passion, determination, planning, following through, and commitment. Perseverance is one of the things. It's not easy, right?
Right. Oh no. It's definitely one of the things I always focus on is perspective.
Yes.
You always have to just think with a mindset that it's not that bad.
Correct.
I mean, and it can, sometimes, and I've been through a lot throughout my life, and had many obstacles throughout life that have caused me to, want to give up and want to, think. But it's, when you think about perspective, and this is another obstacle in this game we have called life.
Yeah.
But just continuing and persevering and surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals and people who want to see you succeed is paramount.
Exactly. So if you can give us a little bit of a backstory, you gave us a little bit of a history as far as how you started with the current career you're in now, but give us a little bit of a history as far as your, the education experience that you had and what led you to the role that you're in now, and kind of what that looked like, a long time ago when you were first starting out. A long time ago. I'm the one that's in his 40s. Not a long time. Well, when you first started out, I'm sure you weren't doing this.
No, I wasn't.
Give us a little bit of a history.
Okay, yeah. When I first started out, and I'll quickly just give you the synopsis of who I am.
Yes.
I came from a family where single mom. My dad decided he was going to do some other things. And, my mom exposed me to a lot of things early. So very young, I was always at museums and different places and learning. And she, one of the things, even though we didn't have a lot, she really wanted to expose me to a lot of different things that were going to grow me educationally.
Exactly.
So once she worked really, really, really hard. We moved from a low-income neighborhood to higher end suburbs in the Pittsburgh because she had just really worked her way up, really, really hard. And, my stepfather came along and so we had the whole family dynamic going on. But they really just pushed me for college. I didn't know what.
Yeah.
I had no idea what, but they pushed me there. And once I went to school to West Virginia University.
Okay.
It was a little bit different. I thought I was going to go to Pitt. I got a denial.
Ooh.
Yeah, just it was a hard denial, and I wasn't a bad student, but maybe a 2-something GPA.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. I didn't really get it. I had a good time. I was smart, but I didn't apply it.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Yeah. So application is key.
Right.
So I turned it around once I went to college. Complete 4.0 student. The light clicked, and I saw that it was all about me, and now I had people along the way. So I had mentors along the way. So I tried to find and seek out individuals who were going to help grow me as a person.
Yeah.
And by doing that, I was able to graduate. So once I graduated from West Virginia, I hopped into sales.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So I got the old okey doke when they call you and they say, oh, okay, we're going to offer you a job. And so, okay, first, broke kid out of college, you kind of took the first thing that was there and got into sales. And actually, I found I was really good at it.
Yeah.
And I started making money really, really fast. And I climbed to the top of, the matrix really fast. And I was, 21-year-old, and I was making money and I was, spending and, it was really good. Up until, I just came to a point where I just didn't have heart for it.
Yeah.
So I was called by one of my fraternity brothers, and he said, if there's a great opportunity to work with kids, I know you like working with youth, and it's working with children of incarcerated parents.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I said, okay, I'll check it out. And I did, and started with students. And just trying to help them find their passion, and any students going through adversity of any kind, was something that I drew into, and been with students for the past 10 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. And then, you know, so part of that is, again, you found something that you were passionate about.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
found something you could hang your hat on and say, this is me, this is who I am.
Mhm.
And then you're able to turn it into where you are now, which is phenomenal. And again, you had a very similar story in that you started off doing one thing and you wound up doing something completely different because of the fact that you found that you had to be passionate.
You have to be passionate, and also, I believe when I became more politically savvy and more politically aware, I began to, in my, like, back to perspective, to say, if I become more politically savvy, I can not only change minds and change people's behaviors, but I can change policies that affect the way that people are behaving as well.
Exactly. And that's important, right? You know, you just sit there and you're like, well, I can get a job and I can make money,
Right.
but sometimes money isn't really everything.
Right.
The money will come as long as you are doing something that you believe in.
Absolutely.
That's a nice takeaway.
Absolutely.
Now, from your perspective, in working with education,
Sure.
and I'm going to come to you also because this is something that you're going to have to be able to give us a little bit of insight on. But when you're helping these students, you know, through the process, through the Inventing Now program and everything else, of, you know, coming up with these ideas and concepts,
Sure.
what kind of regulatory things have you experienced? Like, have there been any roadblocks for these students as they're going out and starting to create these ideas and trying to push it out there? You know, has there been anything along those lines that have been, you know, stumbling blocks that?
Sure. Well, you know, well, through Investing Now, and only I've been there 3 weeks, but however, so some of the students that were in my particular program are in Investing Now as well. So yes, there have been many opportunities, and I can speak more so to my last position working with youth, was that, you know, a lot of them weren't taken seriously because of their age. Most of the things that, and to combat that, I was fortunate enough to attend conferences worldwide, so in 3 different countries. You know, around the globe, which we were able to interact with young people, people who were 16, 17, 21, that had their own startup businesses and were doing it at such a young age. And I'm, you know, and not even like just, you know, something that was small, that was huge.
Yeah.
And they were making huge impact globally, you know, at ages 16 and 17.
Exactly.
You know, I actually felt like I was behind the curve, you know, as it related to them, because they were doing such great things, and students don't realize how much power they have even now.
Exactly.
You know, when it comes to small business and things like that.
Exactly. Now when it comes to that side of things, have you, when you're fielding these calls from the community, as far as, you know, regulations or anything along those lines? I know you've had a limited experience so far, but have there been any hurdles that you've seen people have to jump through to get things done? Well,
That is something that I get to see on a daily basis. So coming from the social work world, everything is fast, but unfortunately, government is slow. So they do not understand. I won't say that they don't understand. Most people who call our office want a quick answer and a quick reaction. And I believe that's society as well. Sometimes we feel that we're entitled to an answer because of wrongdoing, but there's a legal process, and life has a process as well, and you have to go through that process to get to that result as well. So I believe just the process as well is just a hurdle.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was going to say, just to add on that, probably, and something that maybe the students may want to be aware of is just doing your research now. And trying to get ahead of the game. So if there are some legal things that you may want to know about a job, or if there's some, you know, some government regulations or some zoning things that you want to check out, you know, call your local officials.
Well, actually, you know, there's a really actually an interesting question that came through, and Brianna is a student who's an aspiring author, and you know, part of the process is learning how to copyright. Right? You have an idea, you have a concept that is, you know, proprietary. So through your program or the programs you've been through before, is there any way to kind of help these students not just come up with the idea, the concept, and the execution of it, but then how to protect it as well?
Sure. Well, and that's actually a really good question. And a lot of Unfortunately, and it could be fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of businesses and a lot of the things that exist now are because of other ideas, and
Yeah.
they're
Right.
built upon. I do think it's important that when you have that kind of idea, at least in the initial phases, is to keep it to yourself as much as possible, and surround yourself with people that you do trust,
Yeah.
that can give you adequate advice. Perhaps a couple, mentors, or find people who may be doing something similar, or people you may look up to if you have access to them, to kind of give you feedback on that. I know now the World Wide Web makes it so easy, as you know, viewing us at home, that you can find those people, and you can find people that have been reliable, and sometimes at no cost. So you have to, look around or shop around a little bit online.
Absolutely.
But there are, ways to do it, and you can protect your work, right away.
Yeah, exactly. So from your side, are there programs to help these students or anyone at all, if they have an idea or a concept, to if they contact you or they contact anyone else? Is there a process that we have in place? Is there local copyright office, or something that they can reach out to?
Unfortunately, that is something that I'm not aware of, but I call myself a visionary, and I have a lot of programs and projects that I always wanted to do myself.
Yeah.
That is something I'm going to look into,
There you
and then I'll
go.
be able to connect you to the resource later.
That's fantastic. No, that's good. But we're definitely not going to be able to answer every question. But that's great.
awesome.
That's great. So
But I'm glad she's thinking about protecting.
I think, right.
exactly,
Right.
and not just
that is something that I think a lot of young people in particular don't really realize, is that sometimes their ideas are the best ideas,
Right.
and people can take it. So yeah, protect your work.
Now going into the whole publishing realm, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the regulatory stuff, the stuff about protecting the work. But are there any local groups of authors that maybe are mentors that Brianna could reach out to and say, okay, hey, I'm an author that I have free time, like maybe at the universities where you have some kind of impact. She can maybe reach out to and say, okay, hey, this is something that you can do, and here are some resources you can get some help with in creating the work. She may have a fantastic idea that she just needs help fleshing out.
Okay. Well, at the university level, we have writing centers, and at every university they have a writing center. And I just met with one the other day, in which they're working with a pre-college student. The things I would suggest is to contact your local colleges or universities' writing centers. Sometimes you have, a lot of times at some of the bigger universities, you have people who are writing, well-published articles and doing research on a constant basis. So reaching out to those folks, and you'll definitely find a lead. Reach out to the English departments. Talk to your, maybe an English teacher through PA Cyber, about ways to start getting involved.
Exactly, that's great.
I was going to say, and following that as well, your local libraries. So
Yes.
the city of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Libraries hosts a lot of different workshops in regards to learning how to fundraise, and workshops in regards to resume help and critique. The libraries is always one of the most underutilized community resources, and that's the place that you need to go.
That's fantastic. That's really good. You see, and this is a question that that didn't have a lot of time. There's always something there,
Sure.
that we can
Sure.
latch onto. So now, coming back over to you, from a funding perspective. Okay, let's say, so here we go, right? This is where the rubber meets the road for some of these kids. They have a great idea. They've gone through and started to create everything, right? And they started to really get their plan together, dot their I's, cross their T's. Are there local agencies that help with funding, grants, things like that, that can really help with this? If there's not, that's okay, but maybe that's something we can work towards.
Sure. Yeah. I know there are some funding opportunities for startup companies.
Correct.
And I know, I know one in Pittsburgh in particular, which works with entrepreneurs, and they kind of give you, you come in with your business plan, and they help you start to develop and refine some of the plans that you have, and sometimes they'll even give you space. And I know even sometimes working with like the city and certain things that they're doing. So all of it is, and a lot of it is networking as well. So getting yourself out there and getting your brand and your business out there.
Exactly.
But a lot of people too will even offer space,
Mhm.
and even if it's a temporary space. So I mean, one of the things that people may want to look into is even the idea of the virtual office, or
Absolutely.
going into shared space, and local nonprofits sometimes open up space to provide you with that opportunity.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. What about on your end?
And in regards to funding, I was once again to bring it to a personal. So
Yes.
once again, I do a lot of community work outside of my job. So one of the things that I did personally, which is true to my heart, Mr. Scott stated that me and himself, where we actually met, was at this called the One Young World Conference, which was a global summit where young individuals came together. And from that summit, it was my idea to create, basically it was a birthday with a purpose, where I created a scholarship endowment fund with a local foundation to help youth travel abroad. Because it's my personal experience, I love to travel. Like I said, me and Mr. Scott have now been blessed with the opportunity to go to Johannesburg and go to Paris, and on this local foundations and the people who are supporting us. So yes, the money is out there. Do not be afraid to approach an entity who you may think who is bigger than you, but especially if you believe that you have a good idea. There's sometimes it's just waiting to hand you to connect the resources as well.
Exactly. And again, that comes back to what everyone is talking about here, building a plan, because you can't just walk in and say, hey, give me some money.
Right.
You need to have a plan.
Right.
You need to have a plan that
No,
solves. I've tried that. It doesn't
Yeah.
work.
No.
The banks did not
Fortunately,
like that idea.
yeah. Fortunately, If you figure it out, let me know.
Yeah, I will.
Right. So I
So-
guess back to our conversation of today, I think some of the regular themes is make sure you have a mentor,
Mhm.
make sure you do your research, make sure you use your local community resources such as the libraries, and when you do all of that, you'll have a solid plan and
Exactly.
you'll
No,
get the funding.
exactly. You both talked about mentors. Now, part of the process of finding a mentor, of course, is, again, not being afraid to reach out, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
say, hey, I need help. How did you go about finding your mentor or mentors?
I have been blessed, once again, to say I have a host of mentors.
Yeah.
So my mentors are not necessarily always signing up for a program type of mentors, but people who I've worked with who just push me for professional development
Yeah.
and who's always came to me and said they seen something in me that I didn't see in myself as well. So just latching on, and sometimes what we call wise wisdom.
Yeah.
To try to just take heed and listen to those people who are providing that wise wisdom.
Exactly, and I think that that's probably one of the most difficult things for students,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's I know my son's reaching the age now; he's going to be 12 in May. So right now he knows everything. However, there are people out there that can teach you, and
Right.
there are people out there that can give you old perspectives that will give you new ideas.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, and I think that that's really key to this entire process. Whether you're talking about government or entrepreneurs or, whatever the case may be, it's all about being open to
Right.
understanding
Absolutely.
that there are other people who have, a little bit more experience than you that could probably teach you a few tricks. You know?
Sure.
So be open to that. And what about yourself? Your mentors, where did they come from? How did you find
My mentors actually came very organically. I mean, they're people like, and when we use the term mentor, a lot of people and a lot of guys in particular, there's a stigma with mentoring. It's like, do I have to like commit my time or spend money on these people or anything like that? No, but a mentor is someone that you consider a friend,
Right.
someone that is a little bit older than you and can kind of help guide you in the right direction. One of the mentors in my life, one of my very first ones was a youth pastor at church, and kind of gave me a lot of insight as to kind of how to go through life. And then following that, I was a teacher, who just really just showed passion and a lot of gave me a lot of time. Yeah. And especially when we going through things, just kind of cared and went the extra mile. Several friends that were a little bit older, kind of looked after. And now, I still have mentors to this day, and still kind of recreating that. But they've also helped me to develop who I am as a person, as far as speaking, as far as networking and meeting new people. and teaching me the things, the power of networking.
Exactly.
And and it's not always about what you know, but who you know.
Exactly.
And then even going further, who knows you.
Right.
That's exactly right. And I think that, part of that is not being afraid to listen, and, also just being aware.
Yeah.
Being aware of who's out there and your personal impact. One of the things that we talked about just a few weeks ago was the power of social media.
Wow.
So,
Yes.
social media is a great, powerful tool, but it can be, used for good. It can be
Absolutely.
used for bad.
Absolutely.
So from that perspective, be cognizant, right, of what you're posting out there, because
Absolutely.
Yes.
there are times when you feel this urge to just post everything. And sometimes, especially if you want to become an entrepreneur or go into politics or whatever the case may be, all that stuff can come back to haunt you. So be cognizant of that. Make sure that are you going to be okay with reading that same post in a decade from now?
And Louis, I got to be honest, and I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that was one of the things I thought about a little bit earlier in our conversation. But one of the things I encourage my students all the time is consider yourself a business.
Yes.
Yourself as a brand.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that, but I know when I hire for jobs, even if I hire high school interns, which I do.
So there you go, students. I'm over here saying hi.
Yeah. I hired high school interns, but one of the things that I do, I do look at Facebook and social media and Twitter and Instagram, and we kind of check out those things to kind of get a better indication of who they are. I had one student one time tell me that he wasn't this person that was pretty bad pictures.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where we couldn't take him because of the reputation.
Yeah.
Wow.
He kind of, now not saying that if you have photos on there that you can't get rid of them.
Yeah.
But now would be the time. But you want to kind of reestablish.
Start
Yeah.
now.
We employers look at that, and honestly, if you're an entrepreneur, especially, people want to know, and they're going to do research. And now it's a Google click away to find
Exactly.
exactly
Your
who you
name
are.
is out there. Your name is
absolutely.
out there in anything that you
Absolutely.
post. And, there are services for getting rid of your digital footprint up to a certain point.
Right.
So be aware of that. And
Absolutely.
social media from a government perspective, if someone's going to be providing funding, or if you're going to be out there saying, hey, fix my pothole, or whatever the case may be, but you're out there also making all of these ridiculous posts, people aren't going to take you seriously.
Right.
So you need to, not that you're going to be going out there searching Facebook,
Right.
but
But especially if you're applying for, there's different grants and different type of funding for small businesses. And
exactly.
if you want to be a nonprofit, I know we're talking about businesses as
Yeah.
well, but if you want to go the
Nonprofits
nonprofit
are
route,
still business. Yeah.
right? Yes, as
Absolutely.
well. There, many people are going to look at the character of the person as well,
Exactly.
and not only and the picture sometimes.
And
that
admissions.
people-
So there's another thing
Admissions,
with
Admissions.
college. So I just met with a financial aid and as well as the Office of Admissions at a local school. And one of the things that they said that sometimes they look at when they're looking at waivering people, they look at Facebook,
Absolutely.
they look
Oh,
at
wow.
Twitter, they look at the social media aspect. So
Yeah.
please take it as serious as it is.
Exactly. And so I know that's something that we discussed before, but I wanted to echo that because it is that important.
It is.
If you go to a bank, to get a loan, it's not just a credit score anymore. They're going to dig, and they're going to dig deep. Money is money, and it's something that you need to repay or whatever the case may be. So we need to be aware of all that stuff.
Sure.
So now that the questions are over with so far, I know we're kind of getting close to that time. We're good? All right, perfect. We have about 5 more minutes, so let's just go into takeaways from your experiences in your career and yours as well. You're very involved in the community. You're very active in networking. You've had mentors. You are now probably mentoring people yourself. And you're paying it forward. From that perspective, what type of person are you looking for to mentor? What is it that is that spark, that drive that you're looking for to really say, you know what, not only do you have a good head on your shoulders, but you have something that
Right.
it?
Well, I know and I'll say that mentees that I guess I've held close in my life have been students who really haven't had the fighting chance.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've always rooted for the underdog and the, the person who kind of went through, something that maybe just started off,
Mhm.
what a lot of society would deem like a bad foot.
Yeah.
But the person who wants to do well,
Yeah.
that has the potential to do well.
Mhm.
I tend to gravitate towards people like that who, just really want to do better for themselves.
Exactly, and so something that I know from my past is I was born in Philly, I was raised in Miami. I should be a statistic, right? But in the end, it is the effort that you put forth and the chances that you're given, and even if they do make a mistake or if they do fail at something, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, right?
Right. Yeah, and I fail constantly. I mean, there's several different things throughout life that you're going to fail.
Yeah.
There are going to be job opportunities that you think are going to happen in your favor that do not.
Exactly.
But it's just about perseverance, and it's about moving forward. Disappointment's inevitable, so expect it.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be many times you
Take from it and learn
and
from
learn,
it,
but
right?
continue to, and don't let anyone stop you.
Exactly. And what about
And I
yourself?
would say the same as well, especially as a social worker with a social worker background. I tend to gravitate to people who say have issues, quote unquote issues, whether they be anger management or sometimes the judge and the court say that we're counting this child out. I love to accept the challenge, and I think that's why I got into government, because I like a challenge. But one of the things is about taking initiative. So I believe that as a visionary as well, that I have the gift of seeing the potential in others. So it's like a diamond in the rough. Sometimes you gotta scrape it. You gotta go through the process.
Yeah.
To make sure that the
Gotta
diamond.
apply some pressure.
I had a follow-up for instead of
Go for
typing it,
Go ahead.
just ask since it's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Garrett, who we answered his question earlier. He's very interested in politics and maybe getting into public service one day. But he wanted to know what would be the best way to gain people's support when you decide to run for office and throw your hat in the ring, so to speak. Are face-to-face debates, and a follow-up to that, face-to-face debates, public speeches, press announcements. Basically, how do you get yourself out there?
I was going to say, because I know a lot of people who have kind of gotten involved now. We have a good friend who. I'd say now find a local official now that is in your area, that you can ask them to be a mentor. So they may start off by giving you stickers or political propaganda to kind of pass out and things to do, where you can get involved right now. And politicians love support from anyone that they can get it from. Anyone that'll listen, they'll get it. So if you want to start doing that, that would be the first thing I would tell you to do, because they'll openly welcome it. You may be making phone calls to constituents, but start learning the business and start getting around those folks that are there now. And I think that'll be a great start for you.
So the city of Pittsburgh has just announced, literally this week, our summer internship program.
Yes.
There you go.
So you can go, once again, Google. I do not have the web address with me as right now, but if you Google the city of Pittsburgh jobs, you will see on there that they have summer internship opportunity for youth. So that's one of the doors that can be open for you as well.
Correct. And also, there are other organizations like the local VA,
Yes.
where they have, for all these students that have a need to fulfill hours, right? You can actually go to the VA and volunteer your time during the summer, and it's, a couple hours there, a couple hours there, and it all adds up. And it also winds up giving you insight into the political world, because you're talking to veterans, you're talking to people who are administrators that have experience in these things. And that's actually something you go to VA Pittsburgh, the healthcare network there, and they'll be able to help you as well. So there's many resources out there.
AmeriCorps, Public Allies.
Exactly.
I mean, there's several, public service organizations.
And the other thing as well, you asked in regards to how to help get support for supporters. One of the things talking about the VA is, to make sure that one, you have the character. You can use social media for the younger generation, but you still need that face-to-face and be able to adapt to everyone, because it's not just a one-sided story. You need to make sure that you are being able to fix into any population, any type of race, and just be able to understand people as a whole.
And you need to be able to definitely understand both sides of the equation, right?
Right.
You know, and that's really a powerful message. Don't be closed-minded. Make sure that you're out there and you're listening to both sides of the equation. Or if you want to be able to argue or not argue but debate, you need to be able to debate both sides.
Sure,
You need to
sure.
be able to understand both sides. So that way, if someone comes at you with a question about
Sure,
something that
sure.
it's an intelligent response, you know,
Absolutely.
and it's not one that's based off of emotion. It's one that's based off of actual knowledge and fact, right?
You have to
Yep.
be knowledgeable about everything.
Research.
in college.
Exactly.
Do your
Exactly. So don't be afraid of homework. It's gonna
No.
help. It's
It
gonna
does.
help. I
Yes,
promise. I
yes,
promise.
yes, it does.
All right. So I think with that, we will be done for the day. But thank you very much for having us.
Yes, and thank you very much. You did a great job today, and I think the kids really appreciate what you had to say, and the time just flew by.
Right.
And
Thank
hopefully
you
we'll be
for
able to
having
catch
Renee,
up
thank
again.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
Sean, thank you so much. And again, if they do need any questions answered afterwards, please feel free to send it to us. We'll respond. I'm not sure what your time is, but you know we have resources available also that we can give website addresses or whatever the case may be later on if necessary.
Great.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
PA Cyber appreciates it.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a great
everyone.
day.
All right. Take care. Thank you again. All right. Turn this off.
That was